Hey guys, Oscar here for Notagrouch, and I have my friend Alison here, and I'm going to do a quick live session on how I edit a file for Final Cut Pro, and the focus here is just to go through very quickly. This is not how you make a movie. If you want to make a grand production, then that's a different story. This is just to specifically we're going to do editing a live video. So if you recorded a live session on Zoom, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, or anywhere that you can get the file from, and you want to edit that and post it onto YouTube, especially for those of you following the 90-day video challenge, or if you're following my advice on building your content library, this is a perfect video for you. So I'm going to show you how I would do it. And so first thing I want to show Alison is how to download the video from Facebook Live, or if you do a Facebook, and I'm just going to grab one of my videos that I made a couple days ago.
Okay.
I'm pretty
sure.
So is
it in your group?
Well, the one I'm going to show you is in my group, yes.
Okay.
And it's right here. So where to find stuff in the group. If I click on that and I make it kind of the large view.
Hope you guys are doing well.
I'll pause it. I think you can just download from here. So there used to be an option to just download it here.
I thought so too. Like I thought maybe I was dreaming like you could do it, but...
No, you definitely could before. I wonder if it's because you're right, maybe in a Facebook group you cannot download it. That could be the case. So, let's see, full screen settings.
I know, it's such a bummer. I forgot to hit record on Zoom. So, but I'm like, oh, maybe I could.
Yeah, do you have
download it?
You have the paid version for Zoom, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just discovered a tip. I think in your settings you can set it to always record on your local computer. That way you don't forget. So it's just a setting I think you can turn on. That way it's always recording, and everybody that jumps on gets alerted. So you're clear with that part. Like right now, this one is recording on my Zoom and also on my ScreenFlow. Zoom, I didn't tell it to record. It just started recording the moment we started it. So, because I forget too sometimes, or I forget and I start like 10 minutes in, and then it's like, oh, I don't want to do a voiceover and stuff. Okay, so yeah, there's a problem. I don't see a way.
Do a quick video.
I don't see a way to download the video directly from here. If the video was public, I could show you how to download it no matter where it is, as long as it's public. But we're going to skip that and just get to the editing part. And in fact, you sent me a YouTube video. What was the title of your training video? The one that you just sent me?
Which one was it?
The Canva.
Creating content that converts with Canva.
Yeah. Creating content. Okay, so I have it in my history. So, for example, note that I wouldn't download your video, but for those of you guys watching, I'm not going to get into this tool that I'm going to use, but any video that you can browse publicly, you can download. There's obviously legalities about that I'm not going to get into, but if you feel like you have the right to use that video or download it, I'll show you how I do that right now. I use a tool, unfortunately it's command line, but I can show you guys in the next video how to do it. And I have this command called YouTube DL and some parameters, and then I put the URL for the video. You see it there at the end. And then if I know this is not.
Did you already share your screen?
Oh, am I not sharing my screen with you?
Yeah, you're not sharing your screen.
Good point. Okay, let me do that. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay. So, what I did is I navigated to your video, and I have it there. Let's say that this is a video I want to comment on, or for fair use purposes, I can download it and use it, okay? It's 37 minutes, so it's going to take a little while, but I use an app called YouTube DL. You can use it for Windows or Mac. The only issue with it is that it's command line only. But it's very easy to install and fairly simple to use once you kind of get the hang of it. And what I do is I have a macro to type in the command that I need, so I don't ever have to remember that. And now this is not part of the process to edit. We just kind of got on a tangent. But I basically copy the URL from your video and I paste my macro, and that's it. And you see there's YouTube-DL, then the parameters. I want it to be recoded to an MP4 video, and then I have the URL to your video. And then when I hit enter, it's just going to start downloading that video. It's going to go and get it, download it, convert it, get it ready for me to use. Okay.
But if you didn't know your fancy code or whatever, then you could just download it in other ways, right? Like
Well,
I've done it before.
if you are the owner of the video, you can go into your backend and download it.
Right, right.
However, and there's some websites out there that do what I'm doing here. The problem with those is most of them are free, and the video quality is very, very reduced. So if you have a really nice video that you want to use, and you use one of the free websites, you're going to get a crappy sample of it. If you're willing to pay whatever, they're like $15 a month or more to download the high quality version, you could do
Right.
that. And there's
Right.
definitely other options. I use this because it lets me download almost every kind of video from any website that I want. Vimeo, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, as long as it's public. And I could even make it work if it's private. I can trick it to use cookies and stuff, but that gets really technical. But in any way, it will go through and download the video. Now I'm not going to do that. I guess what I should do is just show you how I edit a video with something I already have on my Final Cut Pro, since we can't get to your video right now, right? Okay. Let me just pull up my Final Cut Pro here into focus and kind of work through.
Okay.
I just wanted to show you the shortcuts I use, because the moment I started using that, it cut my time into like time and a half to 2 times of the running time of the video clip. Most people would take a couple of hours to do that. And so there's some tricks. The first trick that I have is I have templates already made. And so I'm going to move to my templates here. I keep my templates under their own library. So you see I have a templates library here. And then I have my 90-day video challenge library on top. And then I have like 2020. I use libraries a lot, so I can move them around. You mentioned before sometimes you had issue with space.
Right. I don't think I'm managing my files correctly.
Yeah, and that's an issue even for me. I mean, I have 2 external 5 terabyte drives, and I have another 2 external ones that are have like 20 some terabytes outside. And if I want to work really fast, I move the files back into my computer because we usually have fast storage on the computer. But Final Cut Pro does a really good job of making things appear and feel fast to do the edit. So I don't worry too much about it as long as I have enough space. But here I have all my templates, and I create templates for different things. Like I have one for Facebook, I have one for kind of my master one, I have one for TikTok, and the TikTok one is of course, portrait mode. So that's tip number 1 is keep a template that you want to use and then maintain that. So if you find out that on your next video you change the font on your overlays or something, take a minute to go back to your template and edit that if you want to keep it in the future. That way you don't have to keep changing the same part. And I'll show you what mine looks like. I'll just double click it, and when I double click it, it loads into the timeline below like a normal video. And oops, I clicked the wrong one. Yeah. So this is what my template looks like. It looks like a very simple movie file. But what I have is I have my intro. Then I have just a background gray placeholder, and that's just I just grabbed that from here from the titles. I just went to titles, the generators, and I grabbed a solid box and I put it in there and I made it long, like whatever, just so it holds the space, and I'll show you why in a minute. And then I have another one. I have 2 separate ones, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And I also have all the elements I want in any particular video. Doesn't mean I'm going to use them all, but they're all there and ready to go. For example, I have that lower third, so this one is just the traditional double line, but I customize the opacity and stuff. Then I have this one, which is kind of like a pop-up thing that I sometimes make it pop up on the top right corner. Then I have, this is more of a commentary to pop in the video. stuff like that. I have my YouTube subscribe little animation. It just sits there. Then I have my Instagram one, or let me see, what is this? Oh, okay, so this is when I want to call out, hey, I'm talking about a business or a website. I just have this right there. So I just replace whatever link I have there. If I say, hey, go visit this website, I put it in there. And then I have a few other call out text. I have my own Instagram, play thing. So that's always there. And then some other text stuff. For example, if I'm doing a video review, I have this, which I can quickly edit from 4 stars to 1 star by just deleting that. Like I just delete the 0 stars, or I can just delete 1 star. Now that's 3 stars. So little tricks like that. If you find yourself doing repeated stuff repeatedly, add it to your template. Okay, and then at the end I have my closeout, which is always a fade to black, and then I have my YouTube end cap, and this is where you on YouTube you can put videos that call out, hey, here's another video or a playlist. Okay, so now how does this translate into actually creating a video? Well, I'll show you right now. So I'm going to create video number 10 for my challenge using that remaster template. So I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to duplicate project as a snapshot. So that is different than duplicate project. If I duplicate project and then later on I'm going to change, for example, one of these titles that I showed you, it's going to change that title in all the projects, even older stuff, and I don't like that. Some people do, but I don't. I want to make that project be independent from anything else, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I will do a duplicate as project, and before I move it anywhere, I rename it into video 10. Now it's here. Now all I do is drag it across to my other template, on my other area, which is video number 10. I get this pop-up that says, hey, do you want to copy this stuff? I just click OK. It's just going to do the right thing anyway. These 2 libraries could be in different locations. So you could have your templates in really, really slow storage, like on an external drive, and then copy to your main library in your fast drive in your computer. That's one little speed trick. But now I go to my video number 10, and I have video number 10 right here. Okay, so double click it, and that loads up. Now let me go and find a little bit of footage. Hopefully I don't take a long time to do that. Do you have any questions so far? I can show you my footage organization too, which is okay, but not that great. It needs some work.
Okay.
I have
no, good so far.
Okay, so I have my super big drives here, and I know in my mini beast I have a folder named footage, and this one is organized by years and dates. So anytime I shot footage, it goes into the dates. So let me see if I can find one that's quickly for today, or that I can use for today.
Like sometimes when I use Final Cut Pro, I have to put the project that I'm working on my external drive, because sometimes it's like, it grows like by the minute. And like, I don't know.
I'll show you.
It's like this huge file.
Well, there's a setting in here that you can probably turn off. If you go into your settings, first of all, when you import, don't let it copy. Leave files in place. So let's say that you shoot a meeting and you have a bunch of video and you have it on an external drive, and then you come into Final Cut Pro and you want to edit that. The default is copy. So you may have him on your external drive somewhere, but when you start the project and you import it in, it's going to drag him into your Final Cut Pro, which is by default your local Mac, and that's going to exhaust your file storage really fast. So that's one. And the other one is this 2 options here. It says Transcoding. Create optimized media and create proxy media. You want to make sure those are unchecked, because what happens is, if you have a fancy format or some sort of format on your files because your camera does something, or your phone, the moment you import into Final Cut Pro is going to start processing that. And let's say that you have 1 gig file. It could turn that into like a 6 gig file because it's converting it into workable files.
That could be what's happening.
Yeah, the benefit is that you're able to work super fast, but for anybody like you or me, we're not doing video production or like movie production. The benefits is negligible. So uncheck those two.
Okay,
And
so where do I find that?
under your settings file, Final Cut Pro and preferences, or just press Command comma and it brings it up. And under import, you want to leave files in place and uncheck the transcoding options, and everything else below that you should just uncheck for now.
Okay, so both of mine were in the wrong spot. So mine was checked at copy to the library storage location,
Okay.
and then the transcoding were both checked.
Yeah, so now with those options, you have to keep in mind two things. Obviously, the file that you work with, that's the file that you're working with. So, you know, if you say, oh, I made my video, whatever, and you create your video to import into YouTube or Facebook, and then you go and delete the files from your drive, they're gone. Like, you're not going to be able to create that video again or edit it or modify it or whatever. So keep that in mind, okay? Some people get...
Right, so...
Because you might get used to the idea that, oh, no, it's in my camera, in my memory stick here, but it's fine because I deleted it, but it's always in Final Cut Pro. Just remember that now your files are where they are, unless you manually move them.
Okay, so if I put them in a folder on my hard drive, and because of these settings...
That's the only place they're going to exist.
Okay.
The other way
So
around...
it's not going to be in Final Cut Pro anymore. It's not going to be in project files?
It's not going to... Well, it's not going to be in the Final Cut library. That's what I'm trying to explain. It's only going to be referenced from Final Cut Pro. So when you go to edit that project, Final Cut Pro is going to say, oh, okay, you have movie files, but those are in that folder over there. And then it's going to go look for those over there and work with them. That's fine. But normally what it does is it takes those and brings them into its own little environment. That's the difference.
Okay, so what if for each project that I do, I just have one folder that I put all my raw files in?
Yeah.
And then that's where it lives.
Yeah, that's what I do. So this is
Okay.
what you're looking at right now here is my folder storage system, and I have dates. That's my way to organize. You may organize them by project name or whatever. But see, for example, this 429, I have videos here. Whatever this video is, when I bring that into Final Cut Pro, this folder here, 2020 429, is where Final Cut Pro is going to look. So I just want to make sure that's clear, because if you decide, hey, you know what? Okay, I'm done with that. Now I'm going to delete that folder or archive it. That's it. You have no other copy of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind. So yeah, if you made those changes, then it will work, and you can, moving forward, you will use less space.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah, then the other thing that you can do to recuperate space is you can go in here and go to File and delete generated event files. And you can say delete render files, delete optimized media, and delete proxy media. What that's going to do is all the files that you already created with those settings that we just changed, it's going to delete those. So one of the things that Final Cut Pro does automatically is when you create a video and you add stuff, if you pause for like 3 or 4 seconds, I don't know if you've noticed, the little thing starts spinning.
Yes.
So that's doing background rendering, and it's processing files for you in the background so that when you want to create the video, it's a lot faster. So basically, if you go into File and then consolidate, delete generated event files, it's going to delete all that stuff from old projects, which technically you don't need as long as you have the original files. Because if you go back to a project you created a month ago and you say, oh, I want to make 2 title changes and put my logo on it and upload it again, then you just have to tell Final Cut Pro to render that project again, and it will do it. So this is a good way to quickly clear space from a drive by just deleting generating event files. So if
Do you have to have a project open in order to...
Well, when you click on it, it's going to treat whatever you're in. So if I click on the library here, if I click on the title of the library and I do File, Delete Generated Library Files, that's going to be for the entire library that I've selected. And if you're selected into a project or an event, then it's just going to do it for that event. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
yeah, I'll get back to that in a minute.
Okay. I might have to watch this video again and play around with it because
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about deleting something and I don't know exactly what I'm deleting.
Yeah, so I can show you, for example. Let me give you a hands-on example. Let's see this tackle box video. Here's my project, right? This is my main project, 18 minutes, called tackle box. Let's load that up. So that's my video right here in the timeline, right? If I make it small, you see all my cuts there, my audio, my little purple stuff. Those are my titles and etc. Right? Make sense? So the way that a clip works in Final Cut Pro, like this clip that I have selected right now. This, if I go and right click on it and then say reveal in browser, that clip, you can see it is this selection is just that yellow selection from that MVI 0220. So it's not that I cut that file out of there, right? It's kind of like a loop, like one of those loop for the old school negatives in the camera. You're just looking at that one portion of that bigger file, right?
Right.
Okay, but if I right click on this file and I say reveal in Finder, it's going to show me where that file is actually located in my computer folder in my drive, okay? And it's going to be in a similar folder like I just showed you, in a folder sorted by time and date right here. Now, because of everything I'm doing for this project, Final Cut Pro is going to make little bits and pieces based on this file. And those live in the library location. So let me show you that. If I right click on 90-day challenge, that is the library name. I click on reveal in Finder. That's going to open a folder that you can't see. I need to bring it up. Now it's going to show me, hey, here's your library called 90-day challenge, right? You're with me so far, right? Okay. Well, but if you look at the size of that, it's only 700 megs. I almost bet you that yours is 30 or 40 gigs in size because you've been copying files into it. But also, if I right click on it and say show package contents, and let's go to tackle box, here is the original media, which if you could tell, I mean I can tell because there's little tiny arrows there. Those are just shortcuts to those original videos I told you about. They're not in here. But under remaster files and render files, there's tons of all these files right here are temporary files that Final Cut Pro created just to be able to output one single video. So let's see what happens. See these render files? Let me go into the tackle box one and click file and delete generate event files. Delete render files, all, delete proxy media. I'm deleting everything because I have my files, my original files, and I'm going to delete that. And these files over here should be, not yet. Maybe I need to close Final Cut Pro, but these files here will be deleted. And all the space that this takes up, so let's see.
But they're not your original files anyway.
Correct. They're just kind of like little informational pieces that
kind of like Adobe Creative Suite has those temporary files.
Yes,
too,
exactly.
Except they're not as large. Yeah.
Right. And what happens is I still have this timeline, and this timeline is very small. These are just instructions on what Final Cut is supposed to do. Take this file, cut it at second 22, re-enter it, all this. And so if I clear my files from the library and I go and delete all library files here, delete render files, optimize, and do all this. Yeah, I think that needs to be, I need to close the file for those to actually get deleted. But basically, video 1 through 10 will not regenerate those files unless I go back into it and I ask it to render again. So if you say, hey, you know what, I'm done with that project. I don't want to delete it in case I want to come back to it later or whatever. But I don't need all those files anymore. You can clear your library that way and get a lot of
And
space.
the only reason the files are there is to make things quicker when you go back into it, kind of
Correct.
like cached files.
Yeah, so when I'm editing here and I cut something and you see this little thing spinning, if I've deleted all my files, that's going to take a while. And when you create the output to upload to Facebook or YouTube or whatever, it's going to take a little bit longer than if you had all those files in place. Because basically,
I see.
yeah, Final Cut Pro is going, oh, okay, well, I need that. Do I have it? Yes, okay, I'll move on to the next one. And it moves on and on and on. That doesn't really, like, the reason I'm saying it doesn't really matter for us is because most of our videos are very linear. You have the video clips and maybe a title or two on top of each other. That's it. Maybe a transition like a crossover or a fade to black, and that's it. If you were making a movie, you may have like 9 audio tracks and 2 video ones and then a composite video, and then those take a long time, and those may take a long time to re-render. That's why you want this if you are making a really large project.
Okay.
So that was just kind of how to recoup some of your space without deleting anything that's valuable. So going back to my video, excuse me a second. So let me see, let me find a Zoom meeting from today that I could edit. Oh, okay, so my .com live stuff. So I have the Zoom recording here. Let's just pretend this is one of the files that you want to do. And so one thing that is just for my organization is I always label my files before I bring them into Final Cut Pro, because otherwise, if you have, you know, Zoom 1, 15 different Zoom 1s, and when you need to find it for whatever reason, you don't know what you're looking for. So I'm just going to name this 2020 0507 .com meetup. Okay, and then I'll drop that in there. See, at this point, your settings for Final Cut Pro would have been cranking through all this stuff a lot and done a lot of stuff. Now, this is still going to do some things, but it's very, very minimal. This is stuff that it needs to do. For example, generating the waveforms. Those are this little, you know, graphs that go up and down in the audio. So Zoom meetings are easy to do because you generally just want to cut dead space or extract a piece.
Right.
This is why I do 2 different gray boxes here for my template. See, at the beginning I have a little bit of an audio track at the bottom. That's my beginning audio track, and then I fade it out. And then I have my exit audio track that starts playing, I don't know, 30 seconds before the video actually ends. If I don't have these 2 clips, then that doesn't work. And I also do it in 2 clips so that all my titles and everything here is at the very end, because that's part of my final touches at the end of my editing. I just want my
the call to actions and everything.
Yeah, I just want my video title to be right here in that location, and this. And here's how I bring in a video to replace this placeholder. There's an actual function for that. I just drag and drop and hold it in the middle. And then when I drop it, I'm going to get a different option that you normally get when you just drop a file. I get this replace from start, replace from end. To replace the way I want it, which means I want the entire video I just grabbed to replace that box and extend as far as it needs to go. I use the replace function. So that's it. And then just for the sake of me doing the video and I don't want to have the audio come through, I'm going to turn the audio down on this. So now my timeline, if I reduce it in size, is just the meeting with my ending title at the end, and then my parts here, my you know, titles and stuff that I may want to bring in. So now the part that it gets interesting on how to edit is this. There's a couple of tricks I'm going to show you. You want to make sure that you're looking at your audio, the audio waveform at the bottom. That tells you a lot about where you're supposed to edit. If I was doing this for a client, or I wanted to really drive it for time, what I do is I look at the audio bars, and I try to cut out anytime there's no audio, right? So I just go in here,
Mm-hmm.
I drop my marker there, and then I go to this. Oops. Oops, hold on. So I go like that, and then I play it, and then I grab that, and then I do a ripple delete, which means it's going to delete and move everything, shift over. So to do that, Final Cut Pro does it automatically. Just press delete, and it bumps it. That creates 2 clips, right? So the key in that motion I just did is knowing your keyboard shortcuts. That's what makes you really fast. So in order for you to move that, see, I'm right now, to move to the left, I use the key, the J key. That goes left. K stops it. Spacebar moves it forward. If I press the letter L, it fast forwards through a thing. So let's say that I want to delete from here. To mark that, to mark the beginning of a clip I want to cut, I press the letter I. And you can look at the shortcuts on their website. They're very easily. But then what I do is I say, okay, I want to cut from this part until where, let's see, until I see the end of John. I see that there's a scene there where John is standing up. I want to cut John out of the picture completely. I just want to leave her in there. So I'm going to press spacebar, and then I'm going to fast forward with the letter L and keep going. Well, it went way too fast. But see, it's going right now at normal speed, but if I press L again, it starts speeding up, and if I press L again, it starts speeding up even more. And normally, I'm listening to this, so I know where I want to stop. And when I want to stop, I press the space bar, and it stops, and then I press the letter O. I is for in, O is for out. Pretty intuitive once you get the hang of it. So you have the beginning. Right now, I have that little beginning track, and it's selected a portion of it, but if I press O right now, it's going to select all the way up to where I'm at right now. See? And then I just delete. And then I move on.
So that's with your selection tool.
But I'm just using my keyboard. I'm not using the selection tool or the mouse at all. I don't want to use the mouse. I just want to be done. If I use the mouse, it slows you down a lot. Because think about it. The mouse, you have one finger, and you're moving around. With this, I have in, out, forward, back, space bar.
Right, because the way I was cutting it is I was just doing the, I don't know, what is it called? It's called
the S, the cut, yeah. You're using,
yeah, I mean, I only do video editing right now every once in a while, and so I use the blade, and then I move one side, and then I move the other side, and then that's the way I
So, I don't know why I just blanked out, but there's a way to...
Yeah, and I watched a YouTube video on like 3 or 4 ways to trim a video. But,
yeah, and of course you're gonna have to find the best way for it to work for you. But the shortcuts work really well for me because I can just do all the rough cuts really fast. And there's also the selectors that you want to have on your cursor. For example, sometimes I press the wrong button, and I end up going with the blade, for example, and I have now it's my blade. Now the blade doesn't allow those other shortcuts to work. I can't move now. I can't press J or K. I mean, I can, but it doesn't work the way I want it to. So I always go back to the standard one, which is A. A, that puts me on the normal cursor, and I always make sure that S is on, which is the scrubber. That means if I had the sound on right now, and I go like this, I hear the sound play as fast as I'm moving. And that helps me determine a lot more than visual. It's a better cue for me to hear it than to see it. So I say, okay, where do I need to stop? And I might go like this a couple times, right where I want it, and then I click on it, and then if I press Command B, that's the blade cut, okay? So I can just, okay, I want to cut it there. And then again, I move back, say, you know what? I want to cut John again. So I click here. I drop my cursor right here. And instead of pressing Command B to cut again, I just press the I key for in. That's my in point. And it automatically knows that the out point is the last place where I did the blade cut. If I did it the other way, let's say I want to cut all the way up to, well, I'll do it up to here, whatever I'm saying. Right here. I want to cut up to that point. I just press out because this is the far side of it, right? And it's still going to take that blade point as the anchor. And I press out. Oh, well, I already had the other one at the end, so it's going to respect that. But normally I would have my cursor right here. And so if I press out, it would just be cut here. And then I just press delete. So I worry about all that. I don't worry about titles or anything right now. I go through strictly content, and the first pass is a rough pass. I just want to eliminate mistakes or dead sound or stuff I don't want, or focus on maybe there's like I told you on your video, you have a 37-minute video teaching a whole thing about Canva, but you're also going through questions. So you can turn that video into one master video. Says, hey, here's my session, watch it all beginning to end, and some people will watch that. But then you can, for the next 3 or 4 days, you can take one question at a time and open with a title. You know, the title is that says, you know, how to upload the file to Canva. And then that's it. You just cut from where the question is read to where the question is answered, and that's the end of the video. So let's pretend that I'm done with the edits here. Let's just let me remove a bunch of stuff so I get closer to. And again, right now, oh, also remember your zoom in and out shortcuts, which is Command plus and minus. That's what allows you to see your timeline. See, now it's my whole timeline there. Of course, it's not you're not able to edit on this, but you can at least jump to spots. And so say I want to jump to this spot, and I'll press out. Now the whole chunk is going to be deleted, and I shorten the stuff, and then I'll expand my timeline again. So
I was doing that with gestures, but your keyboard commands are probably a little bit easier.
Well, gestures are really good too. If you like gestures, that may work. It's really up to you. What I tend to steer people away from is the mouse or the trackpad, single clicks and stuff. Leave that just for precision work when you're like, oh, you know what, I need to cut one frame. And even then, it's hard to justify the use of a mouse. I just use it to navigate left and right.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's good. And a perfect example, yeah, it's like you first do your rough cuts and you lay out your stuff, and then you can do more finite work. And then what you're going to find out is most good software goes with standards on some of the shortcuts. So you're going to find out these shortcuts mostly work on iMovie as well. And, you know, zoom in and out is pretty standard across almost anything. So
Right.
Command plus minus works on browsers, Photoshop, this.
And the font sizes actually works in Canva just the way it does in
Yes,
Adobe.
Canva's gotten really good at making their
It's amazing.
yeah, their website works pretty much like an application. I mean, you can copy and paste stuff, which is very rare, even between two projects.
Yes.
That is unusual for a web app.
And it pastes in the exact same spot.
Yep. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Perfect.
Yeah. So let's say that this is my final video. Now, this is some of the cool things I use with the templates that keep my videos, I don't want to say like awesome or anything, but fresh. And without doing all the work all over again. See my intro over here? Let me turn the volume down because I keep hearing it over here.
Okay, I have like 10 more minutes.
Okay, I'll make it quick. This is called composite video. To create a composite file, you may want to use it sometimes for sequences. Like if you want to do a sequence about your website and social media and stuff, but you want things to be updated, that's why. This is how you do it. Let's say you take this clip and this clip, right click on it and say new compound clip. So that's going to take those two clips and convert them into a single editable clip that now you can cut, apply effects and stuff. But if I wanted to, I could open that up. It opens into a new clip, and I could replace part of that clip with something else. I could grab this and drop it in here, just like I did earlier with the replace, but instead of using replace, I'm going to replace from start or replace from end to make sure it fits that exact space. So I could do replace to end. Now that doesn't seem like, why would you do that? But this is why you would do that. Let me show you this one here. This is a compound clip, and if you ever watch one of my videos, you'll notice that these little scenes that you see on the TV, those change with every video. It would be a nightmare if I had to do those manually each time. What I'll do is I'll double click on it and notice it becomes a brand new timeline. This is a composite clip. And because I'm doing this video right now, this is not going to be interesting at all, but I would basically just grab like a few seconds like this and drop it in here and say replace from start. That means it's going to respect my start selection and cut off at the end of the preset clip there whatever else doesn't fit. And then let's say I want to grab her selection here, and I want to make sure that the last part that she said is what's kept in my clip. I'll grab it and drop it in place, and then I'm going to say replace from end. So the last part of whatever she said from this selection over here is what's going to fit into place. And I'll keep doing this. Maybe I want to bring in another video for whatever reason. Here's the other John. I'll drop this in here from start. And let's do one more here. Okay, and then I press this little arrow here to kind of go back to my normal timeline. Now my timeline has those video clips. Of course I have to adjust them, but so that's now kind of my custom intro and is relevant to this video only. So if you were doing a Canva training, you could create a template that has this where you show a PowerPoint presentation and maybe you show like your slides or something that's kind of quick and maybe a question or two from people in 8 seconds or something. But you could actually grab a Canva clip, and next time you do an Instagram training, you grab an Instagram tip. So that's that tip. Once you're done with your edits, of course, you want to do your final edits. Let's say that I want this part here cut just the last few seconds. I always kind of play all the end clips and the beginning clips. I want to listen to that because that's when you made a cut. So to make sure you didn't make a mistake, you just use the same technique I showed you. Just get to the end of it. If it's good, you move on. If it's not, just press in, it selects that. That means you're going to cut that part out and delete. And don't be very indiscriminate. Just do it and cut and be done. Because Final Cut Pro is not destructive, so it doesn't destroy your files. If I made a mistake on that, one, I could just do Command Z to undo it. But if I already moved on to other things and I don't know how far I went and I don't want to undo everything, I can just go back here and re-extend that. It doesn't go anywhere. It's not been deleted, right? So you know that.
That's how the blade works, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's non-destructive about it. And then once that's done, then I can go in and grab all my elements that I want. And this is another time-saving trick. So I just copy them. And let's say I paste them in here. And of course, I'm not going to use all of them. But I know I'm going to use my YouTube, probably my title with my, what's it called, my website, and maybe one of these titles. Well, all I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I want that one, and this one, this one, this one. I'll move this over here. And just in case I make a mistake, I don't want to redo my steps. I'll just select all of these guys here, and I press the letter V. That makes them invisible to the final product. So that way I just worry about this once, I put them into place, and before I render, this is another time-saving tip for me specifically because I want to put a video native to each platform. Let's pretend that like that's not there anymore. See, at the end here, I have this perfectly timed so that the end of this black title matches the music. So I'll cut the music here real quick with the blade tool, and I'll select the title and that, and I'll mark V, and I'll export a video first without that. So that's for Facebook, Instagram, or whatever. The moment I go up here and say, okay, share, this is another time-saving tip. I have my locations already set. So I will just let it render and upload into YouTube directly. I'm done. I don't have to wait for it to be done and then manually go upload it. But in this case, it's not for YouTube, so I'm just going to say use it as an Apple device, 1080, and I'll click next. And then as soon as that's done, I'll just put it in my desktop for now. As soon as that's going, you can see it on your little render progress here. That is going to render based on that point in time. So I can come back in here, select this, and then press V to re-enable it, and then go and do my YouTube share and say, okay.
You don't have to wait.
I don't have to wait. I can just say, go to YouTube, say next, yeah, publish, da-da-da. Now it's going to go to YouTube. And then I could go in and do another one if I wanted to, you know, maybe whatever, you know, whatever other site. And that's it. I don't have to wait for anything. And because this is not a background render, this is an actual command render, this is going to keep going whether you do other work or not. So the main time-saving tips on this is your templates. Create a template that has your titles, beginning and end, and music that you want. And that also helps you structure your next video. Then have your titles already in place. That's part of your template. But then just learn your shortcuts, because if you were to actually just watch me edit a video, you will see that I hardly ever touch the trackpad. I only touch it to go up here to select something. And if I'm down here, I'm just moving. If I press, I show you J goes left, K doesn't do anything. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, but I believe is comma, or the quotes, jumps to the next marker. You see that? Mm-hmm. Whatever next event is on the timeline, whether it's a cut, a title, or something, it just jumps right to it. So that's how I also move fast. If I say, okay, I don't want to hear it anymore, I already did that, then I just keep pressing this to move to the next area. And then to go back is semicolon, and that does the backwards part. The sound, of course, is, if you don't want to hear it, you just turn the volume down. But if you don't want to see something on the finished product, just press the letter V, and that obscures it for the time being. So all those are little shortcuts that make it kind of go fast. And the very last thing you do is transitions and effects. You don't want to deal with those until the very end. So if you want to add whatever, let's say black and white, you don't want to do that at the beginning, because maybe you'll change what you want to do and then you just wasted all that time adjusting that, changing that. Same for transitions. If you add a transition and you're like, oh, I'm going to cut that out altogether, then you spent all that time creating transitions when you didn't need to. So that's just in the layering of your process. Template, rough cuts, the last cut. Before you do transitions and stuff, do a quick audio edit if you need to. Most of the time you don't. And then do one more pass at high speed to make sure you didn't miss anything. And then that's it. You can render in batches. If you, as long as your computer can handle it. Right now I could go to another project and start working on it. Or I could go down the list and have, maybe I made 3 projects in 1 hour. I could go back and have them all render now. I can just go share this one, then share this one, share this one, and then go have dinner while this this might take 2 hours or whatever, and then that's it.
Right.
So you just see the progress here. Make sure your computer doesn't go to sleep, and you're good to go. So if you use gestures, maybe I'm not saving you a lot of time, but I think that shortcuts
it's just for
are
the
way
Zoom.
better. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't at the point where I know shortcuts. I haven't ever used shortcuts here.
Yeah, shortcuts will save you a lot of time on every app, like everywhere. because you have 9 usable fingers if you don't count your thumb for your spacebar, right? So,
Yep.
yeah. So, yeah, that's
Great.
it.
Okay.
And yeah, batch your work, keep your files organized in something that makes sense for you. For me, it's a date-based thing because I want to do daily vlogs. So if I miss a day, I know, okay, well, I can go back to that.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and then
Yeah, I'm gonna
library.
have to take another look at my file management and see what I can figure out.
Yeah, try to keep long-term storage in slow drives. So anything that's external, unless it's a flash drive, is slower than your local computer if your computer is flash-based, which I think yours is. Um, and try to keep your libraries small. So for example, this 2020 library I have here is very small. I haven't done a whole lot of videos for that library. But when I click on those, it takes a while to load because it's going through all the projects and finding all those files. So if you can keep your libraries smaller and just load them up when you want to work on them, then it's a lot better. Like technically I should have this closed. So right now, see, it's going to take a minute or 30 seconds to load this part here. And it's just because I clicked on it. So normally I just close it because it also does a quick scan when you start the application, and that takes time. So if you just have your templates and the current project that you're working on, that makes things a lot more efficient. Yeah.
I think I'm going to have a ton of hard drive space left, and a bunch of files will be deleted when I go to delete. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, I'll
We
have
can
to
do.
figure that out.
I can walk you through that too if you want, like later this
Okay.
week or something. So
Yeah, sounds good.
yeah.
All
So that's
right.
it. Any
Well,
questions?
thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, I have all kinds of questions, but you answered a ton of them, and the shortcuts are really important. Most of the time, I'm just editing the goofy things that I say out of the picture
Sure.
for now. So, but
Well,
it's all good because I have a
sure.
whole lot of goofy things.
Well, you know what I told you about that. It's like just leave them in there. That's perfect. Like I was.
Oh no, I have plenty of goofy things that I leave in there, but the
Oh,
things I
okay.
really want to edit out, I
Okay.
edit
Yeah.
out.
Cause
Like the things that you say all the time and don't even know it. Those types of things.
oh well. Yeah. Be careful with that because that can send you down a rabbit hole and then you never be done.
It's
If you
not those. I don't edit those out.
like you're not trying to delete your and stuff like that, right?
Oh no, heck no.
Okay. Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's a, and the things that I don't like are I always say, okay. That's what I always say. But there's no way I can edit that out. I mean,
No.
that's just the goofy things.
Yeah. I
But
do. My biggest mistake is like when I'm telling somebody to click somewhere, I say the wrong thing. Like we look over here or we click over here. Like I don't say click over here. I say something like some ridiculous thing that people are like, what are you talking about? So yeah, I once tried to edit that and it took so long I didn't. Yeah, but I was cracking up when you were asking people what they were wearing on your meeting at the beginning. Like leave stuff like that because that makes it funny. So yeah.
well, I didn't have any lead into it, and a lot of the reactions like that they're in the video, and people are like, "What the heck are you talking
I
about?"
saw that.
Oh, I get it.
I saw
I
some
know.
faces like, what is going on? Am I in the right location? Yeah,
Right, because I was handling like 12 different things, starting the video off,
sure.
and then I'll forget, like, I forget to do spotlight on the video, and then a couple times I'll forget to hit record. So that's just because I was running that meeting too. So all that was kind of hokey. Oh, and then we started off like on the top of the hour. So I guess it's really tough getting on a call like at the top of the hour. So I think we're going to try to
Oh,
start our meetings like if it's supposed to start at 9, we start at 9:15.
oh,
It just
because like
seems like
everybody's
that works better.
jumping on that. Oh, okay.
Right. And then Facebook Live. So like Zoom to Facebook Live. Live Producer is not working. So if I just go live without Live Producer, it works. But if you go Live Producer, it kicks you out like after 5 minutes.
Are you using OBS for that or no?
Is that software?
Yeah, so there's a free software that you can install on your computer.
Okay. I'm not.
OBS. Yeah, just
I'm
look
just
into
going
it.
from Zoom to, Like, do I have to use something else?
You may not have to, but I believe that you can. Let me see. Yeah, I think there's an option for specifically for Zoom. I forgot exactly. The benefit of this is that I'm not sure if it's recommended for Zoom to Facebook Live. I'm looking into it because I'm going to switch from this camera that you're looking at to using this for my face instead, so it's higher quality. But OBS allows you to broadcast to like YouTube Live and Facebook Live
Okay.
at the same time, the same video.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, we can explore
I
that
have read
another
about
time.
that. Or like Ecamm might be good, but
Yeah,
that's, I think,
Ecamm
for-
allows you to like switch stuff and bring in videos and stuff like that. Yeah, Ecamm lets you do fake live videos, right? Like
Okay.
you can play a pre-recorded video and pretend that like it's live, so you can just dedicate yourself to the chat or whatever.
There you go. If that's
All right.
what you want to do.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I will talk to you soon. Have a
Yeah,
good
thanks
evening.
for the help. I'll reach out.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And then we'll watch.
Post
we'll
your
walk through
video.
everything.
Post your video. Don't miss the second day. You don't want to miss the second day.
Nobody wants to see it.
It's not about that. Just post it.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. I'll talk to you. Bye.